Good evening and welcome to the St. Petersburg By Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, Rage Across Tampa.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Twitch channel where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a massive multiplayer 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in the city of St. Petersburg and Tampa, because that's what you're tuning in tonight. Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition Chronicle. My name is Kent, also known as Kent on all social media. You could go follow me there, but it's actually a pretty boring follow at this point since I haven't posted anything in like 2 years, it feels like at times. But what you should do is go follow St. Pete by Night on all of this social media listed down below and in the description. And if you're interested in trying out the World of Darkness, whether it's for the first time, the 50th time, the 500th time, you should come join us on the St. Petersburg by Night Discord server, where we host one-shots, where we have a variety of table games with more on the way of Vampire the Masquerade, of Hunter the Reckoning, and of course of Werewolf the Apocalypse, where we've started debuting Werewolf the Apocalypse one-shots this week and are hoping to continue to do so well into the future. Tonight's episode is episode 29 of Rage Across Tampa, which is absolutely insane that we've made it to 29 episodes. But tonight's episode is called Suspicion. But we'll get into what this pack is so suspicious about in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and introduce the amazing pack now. Players, introduce yourselves.
Hey everybody, my name's Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Arun of the Gale Stalkers.
Hi everybody, I'm Champ, Champagne, Karma, because Karma's a bitch. You shouldn't, whatever Jojo Siwad said. Whatever you want to call me, but I will be playing Aspen, Weiss, Philodox of the Silver Fangs.
Hello everybody, I'm Noree and I'll be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hey everybody, I'm Walks, and I will be playing Lucas Shaw, the Ragabash of the Shadow Lords.
I think I'm going to go ahead and start rating Champ's nicknames week to week. So far, we've been staying at a solid A, but I'm going to give that one a B plus today, just because it's a very niche kind of subject there, but still appreciate it anyway. Like I said, this is episode 29 of Rage Across Tampa, entitled Suspicion. Over the past few weeks since season 2 began, the pack has been assessing the threats of the city rather than being on the defensive of building a cairn, of trying to stake out a claim. Now they're having to look outwards to see what threats are around them. And if you've been paying attention all along, there are many threats that this pack is facing, including, of course, the Kindred of Tampa, but also the Cult of Fenris. And those are just the threats from without. There are always ever-looming threats from within. And with a new pack member joining the pack after the departure of their beloved theurge, Joseph Ashspeaker, Lucas Shaw is certainly making a mark and making his claim within the pack and within the cairn, but not without some suspicion from the members all around the pack, as everybody takes him aside and has their own versions of one-on-one chats with the new member of the pack. We've seen Aspen have her first chat with Lucas. We've seen Jester have a very interesting encounter last week that involved Eliza and a game of baseball. But tonight, we're going to see Aiden finally have some words with the new Ragabash of the pack. But before we get to all that, our story starts tonight with Jester. Jester, you've always carried this burden with you, even since before the cairn was built, a burden of the fate of your friends. Now, thankfully, throughout that process, you were able to secure the safety of most of the groups formerly, or the members of the group formerly known as Theno, but one still weighs heavily upon you. There's one that you can't seem to get out of your mind, and that's the fate of Mia, who last seen was giving a confession while standing next to Edward Bateman on TV. Now, when you went to the jail to break all the members out, she was the only one who seemed to be missing, completely erased from the record of the jail, as if she had never existed whatsoever. No trace of her being left behind. This burden, this worry, this suspicion has led you to have a conversation with Artie. So we find ourselves at Artie and Aspen's apartment, which is a small one-bedroom affair, but it seems to have become much more cleaned up, a lot more tidy, a lot more like it's had a woman's touch to spruce it up from the more dormitory affair it seemed to have several months prior. Artie is, of course, sitting at his computer. You have found a spot on the couch, a couch that you spent many weeks upon when you first moved in with him before being sent off to purgatory of the RV down by the river. But now you find yourself back in what could be considered a temporary home, and the scene is yours.
How you been?
Better. Had a few rough weeks there, but Aspen does what she does best, and gave me some motivation. We'll just put it that way. How about you?
Yeah, better.
What's on your mind?
I was wondering if you'd heard anything about Mia or found any information.
I've been keeping an eye out for her this whole time, ever since everything happened, and to be honest, I didn't hear anything. It's like she was a ghost, like she vanished. I even tried to dig a little deeper into the past, into history, and she's been completely erased. I can't find any school records. I can't find anything in the DMV. she's just gone. I mean, even the news articles, they're few and far between. Her name is just being omitted more and more from things that I know that she was involved in, things that I know that she had been mentioned in, but it's like she's leaving no trace. Like everything's just going away. Wherever she is, they don't want her to be found. But they didn't account for one thing. He turns around back to the computer and starts typing. And eventually, an image pops up on the screen. I checked the security cams. You know, I was running the facial recognition on Mary. And I got a ping from a few weeks back. I started scrubbing through some of the old archives, trying to see if we can establish a pattern, which is tough to do with Mary. But I got a ping on her arriving at the 100 North Tampa building a few days after the confession. And he pulls up an image on the screen, and you can see Mary stepping out of a black windowed town car on one side, Bateman stepping out of the other, and with Bateman is Mia. This is the last trace I got of her. Now it's been a few months, so who's to say, but this is the last place I can definitively say she was seen. From what I can tell, they took her into the building and she hasn't left since.
Do you think she's still alive?
I have a few thoughts, most of them bad, to be completely honest with you. Best case scenario is that they are using her for food. And because it's a renewable food supply, they would keep her alive for the most part, assuming that nothing bad happened.
Right.
Most realistic scenario is that she's dead. They've been erasing her. No trace, no records, nothing. So I don't know why they do that if she was still of any use to them. I mean, if
She
they
was
kept
gonna
her...
be
Yeah, go.
she was gonna be their star witness, so I don't understand why they'd erase her either. Unless they were gonna make her like them.
I hope not. That's my worst case scenario, one that I didn't even want to put to words or will into the universe.
I've already been thinking about it.
But she's still also leverage bait.
I know.
I don't
But
doubt
I'm not.
for a second that they don't think that, or that they think that you've left. I doubt they think you've left.
Of course not. Still, I don't want to give up on her and just say she's gone. So, just keep me informed.
I'll keep digging. I'll keep looking. If she even shows her face, I'll get something. I've been trying to work with more of the Weaver-based spirits, trying to get them to talk to one another. Regina's been a huge help with that, and hopefully they can keep an eye out for her too. If we can get somebody, one of them in the building itself, that would be a huge advantage. But they are crotchety, I guess would be the word. They're not really keen on working with anyone, or they're just completely neutral on the subject, which is what I've found most Weaver spirits to be.
Speaking of Regina, I'll reach in my back pocket and pull out a small stack of 4 or 5 photos. I found something and some pictures of the old Karen.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this from
Hand
the
it to him.
storage unit?
Yeah.
He takes the photos and looks over them one by one. Huh.
Photos contain pictures of the green Jeep with a bald woman. That's Cricket. She was Ryder's second.
Ryder had a second named Cricket?
Yeah.
Okay. She looks kind of like a bitch.
I don't
Although,
think she was. Go ahead.
with a name like Cricket, who wouldn't be?
I don't think she was the most talkative, at least.
It's funny, when I bought the car, or bought the vessel for Regina, it was at a police auction. Interesting. I'm gonna have to ask her about that if she remembers anything about that time. She's never brought it up willingly, but huh. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. I thought it was something cool you might want to see. I believe she was a ragabash like you were. If Ryder's memory served me correctly.
From the looks of her, she's a ragabash like Lucas is.
Fine. You don't seem to like him much.
Well, that's just by our nature. While we're all the same, we're also all vastly opposed to one another because nobody gets under a ragabash's skin like another ragabash. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about him. He's got baggage, and I know I'd say, who of us doesn't? We all brought our own baggage to the situation, but there's something predatory about him. We all have that, of course. We're all guru, but I just look at him and I see a wolf with drooling fangs just waiting. And I don't know what he's waiting for. And with Aspen at the top of the ladder, I'm especially concerned and especially interested, because if he wants power, he's got to go for Aspen. If he wants control, he's got to go for Aspen. If he wants to lead, he's got to go for Aspen.
But she has you.
She has me. That's for sure.
You have her back.
Always. But I also have yours. And Aiden's.
I know.
How do you feel about Lucas?
I don't know. Remember something he said about having a companion when he first arrived at the Cairn building, but he hasn't really gone into that. But we were playing baseball at Eliza's house. It was his version of training me to better use the glaive. Eliza stepped in and decided to pitch a few balls to him. I'm not sure if she was just, trying to one-up him, but that doesn't seem much like Eliza. Or if there was something else going on. I haven't quite asked her yet.
Well, Eliza's always been the impactful sort. I mean, remember our first meeting with her? She wasn't exactly serving crumpets and having a nice chat over tea.
No, but she wasn't exactly well either.
Maybe that's something Lucas is struggling with.
Maybe.
There's the other side, like Ryder. Maybe he's just on that path, or maybe I'm all for giving him a shot, but I am going to be watching him really closely. It was fine when there was only one Ragabash in town. I could ask double question everyone. But now that there's two, things are going to get a little more complicated.
Right. I don't know. I think people react to Hoglask, Hirano differently.
He's a Shadow Lord. They're always going to play their cards close to their vest.
True.
we just have to keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on him. Get to know him as best as we can, although getting to know a Shadow Lord is like bleeding a stone. But we didn't suspect Ryder either, and you wouldn't be, or we didn't trust Ryder either, and you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Right. So
So we have to give him a chance.
you watch. I'll hold my hand open for him.
It's a good plan. How is Chloe doing? She's still settling in okay?
She seems to be. I think she's taken to managing the park, the cairn. Gives her something for her type A personality to do.
That's a good
Pretty
place
sure she
for
was.
her.
Yeah, pretty sure she was going a little stir crazy, just staying at Eliza's.
I don't know how anybody could stay at Eliza's for that long. I mean, the
She's
place
not that.
just screams angry old lady.
She's not that bad.
What about this whole Bloody Mary business? You on board with this plan? I mean, I am. I'm all for striking back. They've already taken so much.
Yeah, I'm on board. We just have to. I don't want what happened to the previous SEP to happen to this one.
Me neither.
So, we need to proceed carefully.
Speaking of companions, how's that all working? You with the bikers and potentially your own little ride-along companion?
I talked to him. Like,
talk back?
Yes, like I could see him and talk to him. Apparently he went to the whatever spiritual afterlife we have, didn't find who he was looking for, and came back. So.
Well, that's disquieting, but also comforting to know that there is potentially an afterlife for us.
Yeah.
I always kind of lived with the belief that that was it. You know, your time here is all the time you have. Until
Right.
the change, then things got more complicated, of course, but...
I mean, according to Eliza, we're still half spirits, so I guess parts of us still go on into the Umbra somewhere.
What about non-us?
I don't know. Is that the physical part? Is there a soul that's not spirit? I mean, these are a bunch of questions that I have no idea how to answer. But he is willing to help, so, and I don't know. It's kind of comforting having him here.
It's not making you feel more guilty, is it?
Not really. I think it's helping me get over it.
Good. And how are you doing with the whole single life? I know you're still looking for him and checking on him. It wouldn't be good at my job if I didn't.
I try not to.
But the urge is still there.
Yeah. But even if I gave up being a wolf, I wouldn't be the person he loved. Because that would mean I would have been like Eliza when we first met her. And he was starting to ask questions, and he would never be happy with just leave it alone. So, even if things were safe here, I don't think it would have worked out.
Yeah, it's complicated, isn't it? Trying
Yeah.
to have any kind of normalcy or normal life. We don't get the things that everybody else gets, at least not traditionally. Some of us are lucky. And he looks over to his desk where there's a picture of him and Aspen out on a what looks to be a pirate ship out on the Gulf.
I'll smile over at it. Yeah. You are lucky. Besides, sleeping around is kind of fun.
Yeah. Who knows what effects STDs have on Guru? Especially, bikers.
I can be safe.
I know.
You worry about me.
I know what it's like to lose somebody by your choice. Not out of your control. This was your choice to say goodbye to Leon. And that's a whole different struggle than having them taken from you. When someone's taken from you, you feel like you have no control over the situation, and all you can ask is why. And there's a comfort in knowing that nothing you would have done would have made the difference. But in this case, you had to choose that, and that is difficult to say the very least. But you deserve to be loved.
I'm still young. Maybe it'll happen.
Maybe it will.
For now, I'll just cheer you and Aspen on.
So we're going to be your stories, your daytime stories, just like the old lady.
I am a Galliard. I do like stories.
Maybe we can leave certain bits out. Okay. If you're okay, then I'm happy for you. I'm going to keep checking in. That's my job in this pack, it seems.
Are you okay?
For a moment, he gets a far-off gaze looking into the middle distance. I just have to remind myself it wasn't real. That's how Banes operate. That's what they do. They tap into our insecurities and our past, and they pull the most painful parts out. But it sounded and felt so real. And with the talk of afterlife and spirits, a part of me is always going to wonder and second guess it, but I'm okay. It's my first real encounter with a Bane like that.
I destroyed it
first. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Good.
So it had its fingers in you, but so it was real. It was there. It wasn't him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be okay. Aspen's helping, you're helping, and we've got more important work to focus on. I think that once I know that we're not in constant peril and danger, that'll be the time to work on that kind of stuff. But knowing that there's all these problems out there, that's got to be our first priority.
It helps. Helps a lot to focus on that instead of the whole that seems to be in my chest, willing to suck me in.
Just don't let that hole close you off from opportunities or chances. Like I said, you are worthy of love, deserving of love. And who knows? Yeah, we're young, but we also live faster and harder than humans could ever possibly understand.
True. Oddly enough, I find the afterlife kind of also inspiring, I suppose. I mean, if I did find someone, they were like us, and then something happened, maybe I'd find them after.
Yeah, maybe. Wouldn't be the worst thing.
Right?
That's the hope, isn't it? That you get to spend forever with somebody here and beyond.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to always be with you, even if I'm just an annoying reminder to drink water and take care of yourself.
I like having you here.
I like being here. I'll keep an eye out for Mia.
Okay.
And I'll let you know if I find anything.
Thanks.
Just keep working with the clave. Keep your eye on Lucas. And when I can't be around, watch Aspen's back for me, would you?
Of course.
Thanks.
Oh, stand and give him a hug.
He stands up and comes to meet you and gives you a hug as well. We're your family, Jester. Always.
Always.
While they hold the embrace for a few moments, they eventually part ways. And so we transition to another member of the pack, reaching out to secure another connection, but bringing some suspicions of their own to the equation. Aiden, in advance of your meeting with Lucas, you decide to make a call to Terrence. So as you stand out in the woods near Lettuce Lake, you pull out your cell phone, dial the number, and after a few moments, the phone picks up. Miss me already?
Terribly. How are you doing over there?
I'm alright. I'm back at the farm again, and working with the spirits and reconnecting. It's good. It's quiet, which is annoying, but how
Why,
about
it's
you?
not
How are
bad.
things down there?
Ah, it's Tampa. Things are always happening. But overall, things are going well. We are making some moves down here, trying to secure the Cairn further. Some riskier endeavors are going to be happening, but overall, I think things are on the right foot in order to make these happen. But I'm glad the spirits and you are getting along. I know that there's not some great ones out there, so just be careful.
Yeah, actually, my mentor's been talking about something that I really want to focus on and work on. He said there's a way we can gain a gift from the spirits that will help remove mental coercion, that will take away intrusions on the mind. It's very powerful, and I'm really young to be learning it. But when he said that, and I thought about what you told me about the vampires and the research that I've been doing here in regards to vampires, and I thought this might be necessary, especially knowing about what happened to Joseph when they were in the prison. And yeah, so I'm really trying to work on that, but my mentor says it'll take a while, but I'm really focusing on it.
Yeah, but you're one of those like really, really smart kids, right? Like you were in college and stuff, so brain things are easy for you.
As someone who's been in college, you don't have to be that smart to get in.
Really?
But I'll take the compliment.
I feel like everyone there is kind of smart, although
Well,
they're
if you
really
have
dumb
money,
too.
money talks. To
I
get
don't
a
have money,
scholarship, though, yeah.
but I'm glad things are going well there. Speaking of college, the guy you're staying with, Kyle, was wondering if I could ask you a couple things about him.
Sure, yeah.
Was wondering if he ever said anything odd or just kind of things that didn't quite make sense, or he just like change subjects, or did he ever just kind of go on a tangents about different things?
I mean, for the most part, he was a pretty quiet guy, kept to himself, but, you know, being roommates, the longer and longer you're together, eventually those walls start to break down. He was on the phone a lot, but he'd always leave the room whenever he'd make a phone call. I thought it was just being polite because I'd be usually doing homework or something like that or sleeping, but he was on the phone and he was just a very angry and resentful person. Not to me. He was always really nice to me. I mean, in the few interactions we had, he always treated me well, and he tried to involve me in stuff, take me to parties, get me to go out, We'd walk to class together. But he just always was, I don't know if this makes any sense, but he always looked like he was ready for a fight or ready to pick a fight. Like if somebody was walking too close to him, he almost had this like stiffened, guarded, ready to pounce feel. And I don't think he really liked anyone. At least no one we went to school with.
Did he hang out with anyone other than you?
I saw him once with a couple of other kids. I thought they were fellow students, but I never saw them in any other classes or anything like that. They would come by the campus, they'd go out for a bit, then they'd come back. He never invited me to go with them, though. He said he'd introduce me one day, but...
Okay. Does he reach out to you anymore?
No. Not in a while.
Okay.
I think it might be one of those like out of sight, out of mind things. Obviously, I haven't finished school or anything and haven't been around the city.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make sure that, in my opinion, I don't think he's the best person for you to be interacting with. So I was just
Not
curious.
anymore, now that
But
I am
now,
all of this.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're doing okay with that overall? Like the whole complete change and everything. I think that
It still takes some getting used to. I'm more aware of things. Small noises in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Weird smells. But I think it's kind of must be what wolves feel all the time. And
that and some other things, but yeah, for the most part.
yeah, it helps that I'm around others of our kind. I mean, I wish it was with you guys, but there are quite a few here, and that comes with a certain camaraderie. I'm having a hard time connecting with some of the others, and my mentor says that's pretty natural for those of our moon, but there's a respect that I've never felt from anyone before you, and a connection, like we all understand what each other's going through. So when one of us senses something, there's another who gets it and can explain it or can, make it make sense. And
That's good.
yeah, it's been good. I still would rather be home, but I know I just gotta be patient and focus and study, like you've said, and just get as strong and as better as I can before I can come back. And I'm
Right.
doing that.
Well, if your mentor's having you do things that are what they're saying is difficult and you're trying to get to that, that says a lot about you and what Gaia has in store for you. And if you're able to get these already, she has big plans for you.
Yeah. Um, I want to be the best I can be because I want to help you. All the things that I've heard around the cairn haven't been the best about down there, and they just keep saying it's a lost cause and that I should focus on staying here, and I don't like hearing that. I mean, I get taught the history. My mentor teaches me the history about how this is a nation and how this is, we're one entity, that we're here to save Gaia together, but it really just feels like that's not the case in reality. It seems like everyone's just out for themselves, or every cairn is just worried about their own place. There doesn't seem like there's a connection like there's supposed to be. The
Yeah,
unity just seems in speech and less in practice. Reminds me a lot of politics.
in a way. But you have to remember that each Karen requires protection, and that takes a lot of work. Worrying about every Karen that's possibly being attacked, if you send others to help with that, you put yours at risk. Much like when we rebuilt the one here in Tampa, we asked everyone that came at a risk of their own. Like, we're willing to help others when we can, but saying no, we can't is just how the world's going to work. There's just not enough of us to be able to be everywhere. But the overall strength of each Karen is important to every group. And if the overall threat is high enough, the GRU will answer the call, just like they did here in Tampa.
I get that. There's 30 of us here, there's 5 of you there. Like, why don't we send some down at least to back you up? Like, I don't know how big the threat is here, but seems like it's pretty quiet most of the time. Every now and then, scouts go out on patrol, or, a small pack will leave and take care of some small threat. But if you guys are on the front lines, why wouldn't we back you up?
Each you're pretty well like history. You understand for the most part, right, and how that works. So
Yeah.
think of where you're at is like a fortress, a stronghold in a sense, right? If you keep sending those from that fortress, a well-known place, to a front line, but don't have enough soldiers to keep defending that area, you have now weakened that stronghold.
Yeah, it opens us up for attack.
Exactly. hmm So where we're at the front line, the 5 of us, we're able to hold it for the time being. We are planning on pushing, but right now we're not biting off more than we can chew. Taking on more than what is acceptable. And Aspen, she's our leader, and she says that we can handle this. And so we're going to follow her orders as far as that goes. If the time comes where we need more reinforcements, we'll make another call. But at this point, us being a smaller number is more strategic, because if there's too much of us, our enemy can call more of their allies, and we can't fight a whole army. Small little insurgencies here, sure, but we can't do a full-on assault.
Feels like you already have a full army in front of you, and again, you're just 5.
Yeah, but it's tactical as far as what we're doing. We're not being upfront about it, as like an army would be like, hey, we're right here, we're ready to fight. We're gathering information, we're doing scouting to make sure that we can handle this fight. Aspen knows what she's doing, and She's one of those like really smart people too. She goes to school and whatnot, so
Yeah. I know. I'm just
I
always
get you're
going to worry
worried.
about you until I can be there with you.
Yeah, and that's part of being Gru is worrying about everyone, especially on your end of seeing both worlds. You have a lot to worry about.
Yeah, I keep trying to talk to some of the bird spirits and ask if they'll go down and just take a look, and most of them are just really hesitant. Others just straight out ignore me, but
That's rude.
my mentor says that's normal, and that
Maybe
it just
just try.
takes some time to endear them to you. It's like making friends, which is not my strong suit.
You could eat a couple of them. That'd probably make them the other ones do it.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Bird's
Uh,
really good.
why were you so interested about Kyle?
Just from his overall interest in you. I was just curious about the interactions that you two had. Just because you guys were roommates, and from what Jester was saying when were at the zoo, and his how his reaction itself from when he became separated from you. I just wanted to understand him a little bit more.
Go ahead and give me a
'Cause-
manipulation and subterfuge.
Yep. Two.
While your intentions may be pure, and while that may be part of the story, we both know that's not the whole story. So as you're speaking, Terrence gets quiet on the other side. Aiden,
Yeah.
you wouldn't lie to me, would you?
I haven't lied ever. Well, to you. I haven't lied ever to you. I have lied, but not to you.
And you promise you won't?
I promise I will not lie.
Okay. Well, yeah, if he tries to reach out to me or I hear anything, I will let you know.
Yeah. Just, just overall curiosity, with the wolf thing. Someone's going after someone I see as a cub. Bit protective.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I tell those spirits that are ignoring you that I'll come over there and kick their ass if they don't be nice to you. I don't know. I can't do that. I just gotta have you open the door to go over to the other side so I can actually do that. And then we can make that happen.
I actually got to take my first trip to the other side.
Yeah?
I mean,
What'd you think?
since the building. It was interesting. Like everything has a shape and has life to it, and it made me really appreciate and understand this struggle. I think more than it could be explained in words. I mean, you see her in all her majesty, I guess, and you see how almost everything we do has an impact on her, and how much suffering she's had to endure for us. And it makes it all make sense. Why we are what we are, what we're doing, why it's so important, and it makes me want to work that much harder because she is she's in really bad shape.
Yeah. She's strong though, and she keeps making more Guru to help strengthen her more. And she's got you now, so she's better
Gonna
off.
save the world.
That is the plan. That is the whole thing. You got it.
You look towards the sky, and as you do, you can see the sun starting to set on the horizon, and you know it's getting close to the time that Lucas is supposed to be arriving. You've made your preparations, and you know that he's going to be here very, very soon.
Hey, Terrence, I got a couple things I got to handle for tonight.
Yeah, of
But
course.
let me know if you do need anything over there. I'm proud of you. You're doing great.
Thanks. Just stay safe. Keep in touch. Just know that I'm thinking about you guys all the time, and if you need anything, I don't care if this sept supports me or not. I'll come running and drag at least one of them with me if I can.
All right, I believe you, and I'll hold you to that.
Of course.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon, though. Okay.
Take care.
You too. You'll hang up.
At that point, the phone goes dead. Lucas, Aiden reached out to you, wanting to meet, to have a little one-on-one time, and you've had a few of these so far, and it was just kind of one of those you've been expecting for a while. You knew you were going to have to face down the Arun of the pack, the Arun of the Sept, really. And so, upon his request, you find your way to Lettuce Lake Park. Now, you were told exactly where to go and how to get there, and so you find yourself going down a gravel road off of what seems to be a maintenance entrance off the side of the park. When you arrived at the gate and went to inspect it, you found that it was actually already unlocked, that there was a padlock and a chain hanging loosely off to the side. And so, opening the gate, you start driving your truck down the gravel driveway. The sun has started to set on the horizon, and the shadows of the trees are starting to grow longer. The forest is growing more still, as if it's preparing for the evening's activities to start to pick up, and the daytime is saying goodnight to the park. Eventually, you come to the spot where Aiden had instructed you to park, and when you do, you park the truck and climb out, but you don't see Aiden.
He'll kind of look a little frustrated. He'll reach into the cab of the truck and take the clave out and slip it into the sheath he has behind his back. And is it like a larger parking area?
It's more just like a gravel patch off to the side. You can see that the driveway itself continues on further into the forest, but this was the specific spot he told you to stop.
He'll walk about 10 feet from the truck, and then he'll start dragging his heel in the gravel road, making a circle.
Okay. As you do so, give me a wits and awareness roll.
Three.
Opening your senses as you prepare the circle, dragging your heel through the dirt and the gravel, leaving a long indented trench behind. You can hear the sounds of the forest around you, the sounds of crickets starting to chirp, this occasional batting of wings in the trees. And then a smell hits you. A strong but familiar odor. One that you've experienced before, especially at the cairn in your past encounters with Aiden. It is Aiden's scent. But there's also almost a strong vinegary smell along with it, coming from a tree just a little further in. A smell of a marking.
He'll look over his shoulder, kind of in that direction, and then he'll finish up the circle, and he'll just go to the center of the circle and just stand there staring in the direction of the smell. Not the vinegary smell, but the smell of Aiden.
Okay. You wait and wait, and the time slowly and annoyingly ticks by. The dark creeping more and more over the horizon. The shadows growing longer and longer, and your ability to see further into the trees is growing less and less despite your heightened Guru senses. How long do you wait?
I will look up at the night sky and then look back into the forest, and I will activate blissful ignorance.
Go ahead and describe what that does.
Blissful ignorance, if I stand completely still in one spot and do not move, it allows me to be much, much harder to see or to monitor. So it adds a difficulty plus my wisdom to anything to spot me,
Okay.
which would be +2.
All right. Aiden, off in the woods, you're growing a little bit restless. You know that the time that you were supposed to meet Lucas has passed, and you haven't seen or heard anything yet, other than what you know to be the truck pulling into the gravel driveway. No movements have taken place since then.
Going to look up to the moon and let out a howl.
Okay. Are you actually howling at the moon to gain your additional rage?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll say that puts you at a rage of 3, as everyone is kind of at a steady rage of 2 right now, considering the growing anticipation. But Lucas, without a doubt, a piercing howl comes from deeper in the woods.
Gonna kind of tilt his head, and he's gonna take out his cell phone and turn on the light, dropping the blissful ignorance, and kind of toss it between the woods and him, and just continue to stand there and wait.
Okay. So you're tossing the cell phone with the flashlight on out into the grass nearby. The light causes some illumination off of the nearby shrubbery and trees, and sits in the middle of the grass, almost as if a challenge. So I would like you to either make a manipulation and intimidation or manipulation and persuasion check. Aiden, I'd like you to make a wits and insight check.
Do I get my Shadow Lord bonus for this?
You sure do. One success. Aiden, you're not going to fall for something so petty and so easy. You are the master of this domain. This is your territory. He is the interloper. So you will not be swayed by his attempt to goad you into a confrontation, so you can hold your ground. The light sits there. As it grows darker, it's becoming the only illumination. More of the trees off in the horizon disappearing under the cover of shadow. The forest growing more still and less inviting with the passage of time. What do you do, Lucas?
Getting frustrated at this exchange, he's just gonna sigh and walk to the edge of the circle and just put his arms out, and he'll yell, "I'm here. We can't stop wasting time."
Give me a wits and awareness check as you walk to the edge of the circle. Okay. Just off the edge of the path, heading in the direction of the smell, you notice a strange curling to one of the nearby trees. You can see that one of its long limbs is bent at a strange angle off behind the tree itself. And looking down, you can see a path of loosely packed dirt leading to what looks to be a loop in the ground that has been carefully covered up. After examining it for a moment, you recognize it to be a snare trap, but one large enough and powerful enough to potentially capture a human and haul them up into a tree, maybe even something larger if necessary.
Aiden, did you learn that trick growing up? Did you watch them do that? It's good work.
Oh, so you saw that one. You should see what else I have in store for you.
Like, are we? What is this? What is this?
A test
For what?
for the upcoming war.
How would you even begin to understand how I wage war?
Well, show me and enter the forest.
When Aiden talks, his voice almost echoes off of the trees, coming from some point in the woods that you can't quite discern at the moment, but it does seem a bit of a distance away. It doesn't seem like he's standing behind a nearby tree or anywhere within your periphery. But the way he responds dictates that he can hear you just fine.
Do you think that we're gonna fight Tampa in the woods, Aiden?
The ones that we fight do so in the shadows of darkness. Here in the woods are some of the deepest shadows you can get.
Oh, no, they're not. They're definitely not. They're dark. I give you that. This does prove a point. I concede to that, but this is not how they fight. It's not even close to how they fight.
So you will not engage in a fight that we're looming over you. You choose to fight on your own turf. Is that what I'm understanding?
I choose to engage my enemy where and when it is weakest. And following you into the woods, that's not what I do.
So you're smarter than I thought.
You got a lot more balls than I thought.
Is that a weird dog joke?
Is it?
I don't know.
Nah. Look, like I get this. Like this is the Arun thing. It's fine. And then I'm gonna turn on Eyes of the Owl. Spend the willpower to turn that on, and scan directly for where he's at.
All right, go ahead and give me a wits and awareness with the advantages of Eyes of the Owl. Aiden, give me a dexterity and stealth. Six successes versus 4 successes. Lucas, as you try to pinpoint the source of Aiden's voice, as you try to follow the sound, your eyes now able to see in the darkness, piercing the encroaching night. You're able to make out a lot more details of the forest. You're able to see further into the darkness, but trying to locate Aiden is to no avail. You look, you scan, you listen, you smell, but that strong vinegary odor seems to mask any scent other than the initial scent you got of him when you first arrived. And that scent has faded quite significantly. You can still pick the path to a certain degree, but it is going to become more and more difficult the longer you wait.
You're a lot quieter than I thought, too.
Perks of being a wolf.
It's fair. It's fair.
You're a lot more
So-
scared than I thought.
Scared or
Aiden.
smart?
Go ahead and make a manipulation and intimidation. Lucas, give me a composure and insight check. Two and two. That stung a little bit, but not enough to do any willpower damage, but just enough to give you another point of rage. You can tell that he's goading you at this point, but he hasn't quite gotten to you yet.
Shadows, huh?
That is one of their tricks.
They're not the only ones that have tricks with shadow. And I'm going to activate Icy Chill of Despair.
Okay, go ahead and describe what that does.
Icy Chill of Despair causes me to grow large and shadowy, as anybody that perceives me thinks I'm way scarier. It also prevents anybody around me from using willpower or regaining willpower in any capacity, and gives me my glory bonus to Intimidate.
Okay. Well, let's go for it then. Let's have you make a manipulation and intimidation plus the glory bonus. Aiden, give me a composure and resolve check, as you are pretty resolute in standing. You're not even trying to see through what he's doing. You know what he's doing. Now it's just a matter of, is this going to goad you? Or potentially send you away.
Now there's 6 with a crit.
7.
7 with a crit.
Okay. Aiden, go ahead and take a superficial willpower damage as the sight of him growing larger, I wouldn't say cows you, but definitely makes you second guess, albeit briefly, this encounter, as you can kind of look upon him and see him grow a little bit more menacing.
That's a good trick. You think it'll work on them?
It might. We should go find out.
You want to do that tonight?
I mean, we need information, right?
Well, the information I need is I've seen you fight once. And I know that you're too cowardly to come into the woods and fight me in my area. So I guess I'll just come out into your little circle.
Is that a challenge?
Oh, you bet it is. He's going to emerge out of the woods.
Now, last I knew, you were in your Glabro form, yes?
Correct. Yep.
So, Aiden, though a bit thicker, taller, and more hulking, steps out of the woods and into sight.
And do you know what challenges? You know how they work?
Are we talking about duels? I don't have a glove, but I can go find one.
In this society, when you issue a challenge, the challenge gets to pick the terms and location.
Well, I challenge you to fight me in the woods.
But you challenged me,
This is true.
so it's my right to pick.
Go for it.
First one to bring back a live leech wins.
Tonight?
Tonight, tomorrow night. First one.
Done.
Okay.
Do you happen to know where they are? Or do you want to hunt together, or do you want to do this separately?
We could do it together, but we're gonna need to go downtown.
Cool. You want to run, or do you want to take your truck?
The truck. It's fucking hot out here.
True. Fine.
Yeah. Hop in the truck.
I'll get in the truck.
So both of you climbing into the cab of the pickup truck. Aiden, are you staying in your current form?
No, he's gonna revert back to his Hamid form so he can get into the truck.
So shifting, you shrink in size just ever so slightly before climbing into the truck. Lucas, where are you headed?
Downtown. Somewhere seedy. Somewhere dirty.
Okay. So, picking out one of the more seedier areas, give me an intelligence and survival check to see if you can find one of the more run-down, seedier locations. I would also take intelligence and politics, potentially.
If he's doing survival, could I assist in trying to find a kind of grungy,
Sure.
rundown place?
That would be very helpful.
Yeah, I'll help.
Okay, so you can add the 1 teamwork dice to your intelligence and survival roll.
Just one.
1 success. It takes a while to really determine. You drive through certain neighborhoods that you feel are a little bit more run down, but as you do so, you can either see a police presence or a neighborhood watch, just too many eyes in a lot of those locations. So it takes some time. About an hour goes by of searching, occasionally hopping on the highway to go a little further towards downtown, still trying to stay in the outskirts, a place where you could potentially get into a scrap without drawing too much attention, until you eventually find yourself heading into an area that has some more run-down duplexes. You know, a little bit more shady locations, less well-kept. You pull into a particular complex of these duplexes, and you can see that the pavement is cracked. A lot of the buildings even have weeds growing up the sides, almost like vines crawling up to encompass the sides of these buildings. Some of them even have boarded up windows, plywood put over where there was clearly shattered glass at one point or another. Pulling into the parking lot, there's a few cars, but it seems most of the individuals who would call this place home most likely use public transportation or ride-sharing services to get where they need to go, assuming they leave at all. There is a bike rack full of a variety of bicycles all chained up. Most of them look like they don't belong to the residents of this location. They were probably taken for the purposes of transportation, but they weren't purchased by the individuals here. As you can tell, a lot of them have not been well kept. There's rust appearing on the spokes. Pulling the truck in and bringing it to a park, you stop and you observe. I'd like both of you separately to make wits and awareness checks. Five successes for Aiden, 3 successes for Lucas. Scanning over the setting, looking at each individual home, each individual building, peering curiously. Aiden, you're the first one to spot it as you look to one of the homes that's across a unkept courtyard. Probably was a patch of grass in between some buildings on this side and some buildings on the far side. You do see an individual skulking around the back of one of the tenement buildings. It's hard to make out any details, but based off of the silhouette, you can see that they're clearly trying to be unseen as they make their way around.
Aiden's going to smack Lucas in the chest and then get out.
Climbing
He'll
out of
hop
the
out
truck.
too.
You both climb out of the truck on either side. Aiden, you've got a very clean direction as to where this individual is. Lucas, you're watching him and trying to discern the direction, and you have a general idea, but you don't see what he sees. You're not able to discern what he's locating at this particular moment.
To follow him wherever he's going, can I add my favor to following him?
You sure can. So, are you attempting to sneak towards him? Are you more just following behind in a direct manner? How are you approaching this?
Trying to sneak behind him.
Okay. So go ahead and give me a dexterity and stealth, and you can add your favor.
5.
5 successes. Okay. So Aiden immediately sets off into the darkened courtyard. There are a few large lights up above. Many of them are burned out, but there are a few that cast the occasional pools of light on the ground. But there are plenty of shadows to sneak into, and Aiden immediately goes into one of these shadows. If you'd like to try and follow behind him, Lucas, give me a wits and awareness to see if you can keep eyes on him to the best of your ability. Five successes. So you are able to keep eyes on Aiden. Now I need you to make a dexterity and stealth as well, as you are keeping behind Aiden following.
3.
3 successes. Not as nimble, not as stealthy, not as able to cling to the shadows that Aiden is. You do keep up with him and stay behind him, but every now and then there's a crunch of gravel or a snap of a twig that's loose on the lawn as you are making your way. But Aiden, as you're watching the individual in front of you, they are several buildings ahead, and they do not seem to have stirred or looked in your direction as you are making your way up behind them.
While walking, look back like, you need to be quiet. Keep going.
Closing the distance between you and your quarry, you find yourself about a building away when you can see that they've stopped lurking forward and appear to have stopped and are looking up at a second-story window on this duplex. As they examine their surroundings, there's a bit of a broken trellis that looks like it once was a place for ivy to grow and gardening to be done, but it has been long since abandoned and not used regularly. As you watch for several moments, and at this point, Lucas, you are able to glean them as well. You can see the individual assessing this situation, and after a moment, they squat down and then leap. And in the way that they leap, the manner that they leap, it is done so in a way that not even the most skilled athletes could do, especially from a standing jump, with no propulsion leading them forward. They leap and grip onto the windowsill, planting their feet against the siding. And when they land on the edge of the siding, no noise erupts. The siding doesn't crunch, it doesn't give any sound of impact. It's actually very quiet as they grasp onto the side of the house and begin fiddling with the window, preparing to open it.
How good are you at climbing?
I can jump just like that.
You can pull him down. Unless you want to try and do this all by yourself.
What do you think he's doing?
I don't try to really understand him too much. I'm assuming he's trying to get inside.
I think he's going to feed.
Gross. Oh, can't have that.
Is he still fiddling with the
He's
window?
still fiddling, yeah. He hasn't quite gotten the window open yet.
Right. I'll kind of take off in a jog and then shift into Galabro.
Okay, go ahead and make the one rage check as you make your transition.
Good. And then I will leap the hair.
Okay, go ahead and describe what that does.
Leap of the hair. Can leap great distances horizontally and vertically. The gift is granted by leaping animal spirit, such as a hare, frog, or kangaroo. I will test strength plus glory, and I'll leap 3 meters horizontally or 2 meters vertically for every success on the test.
Okay, so make that strength and glory roll.
Aiden's gonna
Now you
follow
do
behind.
get the additional dice from being in Glabro form that gives you 2 bonus dice to physical-based tests, which this is. And Aiden, you're following behind.
Yep.
Three.
Okay. As you leap vertically, you find yourself gaining purchase as you grab onto his legs and start pulling down. Startled by the encounter, the individual whips their gaze over, still holding onto the sill of the window as best as possible. And as you look upon them, they have a very unfortunate face. Whatever powers that be did not bless them at all. They have a sharply broken nose, which is twisted off to one side and almost slightly elongated. One of their eyes looks to be almost completely swollen shut, but it doesn't look to be from any natural bruising, but rather growths on their face that are impeding their view out of that one eye. Could be that that's burn scarring, but it's really hard to tell at this moment. But whatever it is, again, very unfortunate to look upon. As you grab onto them, having leapt up to grab onto their legs, give me a strength and brawl check to try and wrench them free of their perch and pull them down towards the ground.
Three.
3 successes. Okay. Grabbing on, you attempt to yank them free of the edge of the window, but in doing so, they end up sending a boot back, releasing one of their feet from the edge of the wall and kicking you directly into the chest. When the kick hits, it feels like a battering ram hitting you in the chest. Take 3 points of superficial damage as the kick launches into your ribs, and nothing quite cracks, but it feels like it could have if it wanted to.
Okay.
Give me a stamina and composure check to see if you can keep your grip on him to stop from being knocked completely off and sent sprawling to the ground.
Three.
3 successes. You are able to keep a grip around his lower midsection, but the kick felt like a mule kick directly back into the ribs. Now I need both of you to declare your intentions, as we are officially in combat at this point.
Are there around the area itself? Are there like any fences or anything like that, like picket fences or anything within this area?
Give me a wits and awareness.
4.
4 successes. Off a building across the courtyard is a wooden, not really a picket fence, but just like large wooden stakes that are all held together. They're probably about 8 feet long. A lot of them are cracked and broken, but some of them still maintain their shape as fencing material all along the edge of the property.
Gonna sprint over and go grab one of those.
Okay. Lucas.
I am gonna try to maintain my hold, but I'm gonna reach back and with the clave just try to go straight for a wrist to try to sever the wrist
Okay,
from
so
the
you
body.
want to just hold on with one arm and attempt to grab with your wrist or with your clave and slice upwards, trying to detach their hand from the edge of the windowsill.
Yeah, maybe not even completely detach it, but just disable that hand so it can't use it to hold himself up anymore.
Okay, give me a dexterity and melee check. However, I am going to take away your 2-die bonus from your large hulking form, as this is a rather tricksy maneuver to try and also maintain while you're hanging off the side of a building.
That's fair. Two
successes.
Yeah.
You attempt to make the swipe up the side of the building. You're not able to actually hit their hand. In fact, the clave instead kind of scrapes up the siding of the house, causing a lot of the siding to grow brittle and start to fall apart. At the same time, they do another mule kick to try and drive you off of them, doing 1 point of superficial damage as they make purchase again. I would like you to make another strength and athletics check, this time to try and hold on. However, again, I'm going to give you a -2 to it because you are only holding on with one hand. 2 successes. You do end up losing your grip on them as the kick hits you in the chest, throwing you off balance, dropping you down. However, you won't fall completely, flat on the ground. You will land on your feet down below. You can see them, however, starting to scramble up the side of the building, forgetting about the window and just trying to go for the roof. Aiden, you have crossed the courtyard. You've gotten to the fence. You don't even need to make a check to lodge one of the stakes free. It's brittle, it's broken. You just rend, and one of the nails that's holding the stake into the crossbeam just comes loose, and now you have a long, probably half-inch thick piece of broken wood that has a nail sticking out of the end. This is brittle, but if used appropriately, could be effective based off of what you've heard in regards to leeches and how to immobilize them.
Run back over to where the leech was. Well, he thinks is hanging with Lucas on there.
Sure.
But
Lucas, go ahead and declare your intention as well. As you can see that this individual has started to scramble up onto the rooftop.
I'll make another rage check and do leap of the hair again to try to pursue.
Okay. So go ahead and make that strength and glory check. Does this also have a willpower cost?
Rage.
Rage. Okay. So
which I lose a rage.
Okay. And that drops you down to 2 rage, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Okay. Calling out to the spirits, asking for the spirit of the hair to inhabit your legs to give you the extra force and propulsion needed to leap up towards the rooftop. You can feel a little bit of your anger, a little bit of your power starting to fade. This is a big ask, having just asked from the spirit moments prior.
4 successes.
4 successes. So as you launch yourself up, you are able to grab the edge of the rooftop. The individual you were chasing has already clambered up onto the rooftop itself and is turning to face you from on top of the roof and attempting to send a foot driving in your direction. Give me a dexterity and athletics, but you can keep your 2-die bonus.
Four.
Okay. So as the foot comes streaking towards you, you are able to manage to let one hand free in a swinging motion to avoid the foot, which comes right past you and jerks back before you swing and grab purchase on the roof. Aiden, at this point, streaking back across the courtyard again, you found yourself at the base of the building, looking upwards, where Lucas hangs from the awning at the edge of the building, and the individual can be seen in silhouette up above based off of the ambient light reflecting from one of the parking lot lights.
Yeah. He's going to think back to the most recent movie he watched, which was Troy. Like, I am Achilles. He's going to try and throw the stake up into the leech.
Okay. Give me a dexterity and athletics throw, as this is a thrown weapon.
That's 7 with a crit.
7 with a crit. Okay. As the stake comes flying out of your hand, it doesn't hit the sweet spot, but it hits. And you can see as it embeds into their shoulder, they go dropping backwards, almost rolling backwards, falling flat on their back on the roof itself. They are not immobilized, but they are slowed down for sure, at least for the moment. Third round, declare your intentions.
I'm going to move up to the roof and try to get on top of him to get that stake that I saw sail past my face and get it the right spot.
Okay. Grabbing the stake isn't difficult. In fact, as you prowl on top onto the roof, they are trying to regain their bearing and get back up on their feet, but they are struggling in doing so because of the slope of the roof. You are able to grab the stake and wrench it free. Now give me a strength and melee check to attempt to drive it home where it needs to go.
Before I do that, can I use Fatal Flaw?
Yeah.
It is. Okay. So I'll spend the willpower for that.
And Fatal Flaw will help you determine a weakness within the target.
I'm going to try and climb.
Give me a
Up there
strength
to-
and athletics.
Six.
6 successes. Yeah, you'll get up to the roof. It's going to take a minute. It's not as graceful and easy as a hair's leap, but you are able to find your way up there eventually.
I'm going to spend a willpower. Bestial critical on 5.
Okay. So that is, you got the 2 1s or the 1 and 2 combo. Okay, so that actually does explode because this is an attempt to do damage. So that would make it 7 successes, I believe, total. Easily enough, you wrench the stake out of their shoulder. You lift it above your head, and Aiden, as you're reaching the rooftop, you can see him send this stake plummeting into the chest of the individual that is laid out on the rooftop. As the stake hits home and drives its way into the chest of this individual, they let out a surprised and startled, like, gasp gurk of a sound, their eyes going wide. And then they immediately explode into a cloud of ash, their body decaying almost instantly before settling in a rough pattern around the rooftop, the clothes just dropping like a pile of ash onto the rooftop.
What'd you do?
Lucas is just going to sit there on his knees with his hands out. I thought that's supposed to work.
You hit in the chest at the heart.
Yeah, this is all over me.
Yeah, this is gross.
I'm so confused right now. I have never heard of anything like this happening.
What was in that steak?
You got it. What'd you do to it?
I pulled it from a broken fence.
Was it a magical fence?
I don't do the whole magic thing. I saw something pointy, I went and grabbed it.
You got like an Arun thing where you can make people explode when you stab them?
I don't know, do you have a Ragabash thing that makes them explode when you stab them?
Well, I might.
Well, apparently. Because I hit them and they just fell backwards. But we should probably get off this roof and not argue so loudly.
Luke's gonna stand up and like stretch himself out, like hold his stomach a little bit, just kind of trying to work out where he got kicked.
Oh, you're fine. Don't be a bitch.
As the two
Stink.
guru, befuddled, bewildered, and in some ways slightly broken, climb their way down from the top of the roof. This is where we're going to go ahead and take our 5-minute break. Thank you all for watching so far. In the second half, we've got much more Rage Across Tampa coming at you. We'll be back in just about 5 minutes. See you shortly.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaborations with our partnered vendors: Wolfpack Dice, Ember Fox Dice, Dragon Ink Dice, Farrah the Bard, Champs Tramps, Pantry Artista, Chromatic Creations. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpbynight.com. The official theme song for St. Petersburg by Night is Vampire by Faith and Failure. You can find them at faithandfailure.com. You can follow St. Pete by Night on all socials with the hashtag St. Pete by Night. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/St. Pete by Night to help keep the stories rolling.
Welcome back. In the first half, we saw some suspicions come to light, some curiosities amongst members of the pack. Jester looking to find out the fate of Mia. Aiden trying to sort out the situation with Lucas. And now the mystery of how a stake to the chest, despite their best knowledge, could instantly destroy a leech. Answers yet to be found, and more questions posed in their wake. But Aspen, you had some suspicions of your own. A while ago, in preparation for the cairn building, you reached out to a mentor from your past, Mathias Morningkill of the Silver Fangs, a Philodox like yourself, who had, over time, gathered quite a bit of influence, quite a bit of sway, not just amongst his particular sept, but across the Garou nation, as he comes from a rather prestigious bloodline of Garou. He came to Tampa and assisted in the cairn building, even providing some much needed security of the Ghislaine variety in exchange for a request of his own, one whose details were rather undisclosed, yet to be sorted out. As he fulfilled his end of the bargain, it's time for you to fulfill yours. So, with questions as to what the details of that arrangement are, and just how Mathias is going to request something of you, you arrange a meeting. Now, Mathias, still in town, is staying at one of the more luxurious and upstanding hotels in Tampa, positioned not that far away from the bay of Tampa itself, a skyline that reaches up and overlooks the water in the southwest side of Tampa. You make your way there, parking in the parking lot, getting valet parking to take Regina, one of the only vehicles you really have access to, and parking it off to the side. The valet official has a somewhat strange look on their face as the beaten old Jeep is pulled up, but they don't say anything. They simply give you a ticket and take Regina and drive off. Regina obviously giving them a hard time as she shudders and bulks as they try to pull away from the parking spot or from the front of the building before eventually making their way to the parking spot. Heading into the hotel, you are given a room number, which appears to be one of the top floor suites in this particular hotel. And you make your way through, and it is a lavish lobby, to say the very least. There's a lot of marble, very lush carpets. Everything is clean. All of the staff are dressed in well-tailored uniforms. You head over to the elevator, pressing the button for one of the top floors that you know the suite to be on, and you take the elevator up until you reach a short hallway that only has about 3 doors in the hallway. You can assume the other rooms are also suites. And you approach the door. What are your thoughts going into this encounter with Mathias, as it's been a few weeks since the last time you spoke to him directly?
Couple of thoughts. So first thought would be really, what is he wanting? Because he's been very vague and very kind of under the table about what he really is wanting from Tampa and why he's still around. While getting to the place and going up to the room, there's a little bit of a weariness there that it's such a private setting, and why that is, and what he has in store and what he's scheming a little bit, because he's been a little bit suspicious as of recent.
So as you approach the door, reaching up to give it a knock, your knuckles wrap off of the very fine hard wood that makes up the door, and after a few moments, the door opens. What you're greeted by upon answering of the door isn't Mathias himself, but instead a very tall, platinum blonde young man with a clean shaven face and very boyish features, very youthful features to his face. But one thing that isn't youthful is his eyes. And as you look upon his icy blue eyes, there is a detachment, but a lot of experience behind those eyes. A very shrewd eye and a very calculating gaze. As he opens the door, he steps back and he's wearing a very finely tailored suit and tie that hugs onto his features, and beneath you can tell that there are broad, strong shoulders and a well-toned physique underneath the suit itself. He steps back, and with a tilt of his head, Miss Weiss, he's expecting you. And he steps
Thank you.
back from the door. Looking around, you can see that there is a large living room and a sitting area near some bay windows that look out over the bay itself. You can see, boats out on the water, and the sky is clear, and despite the heat, it looks like it would be a very, very pleasant Florida day outside. By the bay windows, in a small cafe-style table and two lush, full-backed chairs, sits Mathias. Sitting at the table, reading over a newspaper. Looks like he has a cup of tea sitting on the table itself, but there's also an empty cup sitting at the opposite seat. And as you approach, he folds up the newspaper and sets it down and looks over with a warm smile. Miss Weiss, good to see you.
Mr. Morningkill, great to see you.
Come in, have a seat. Would you like some tea?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm quite all right.
Very well. I see you've met Charles, my nephew.
I have. Very nice to meet you, Charles.
Nice to meet you as well, Miss Weiss, the platinum blonde man says, bowing his head ever so slightly again. So, Mathias says as he gestures over to the seat and waits for you to take a seat in the chair. What can I do for you?
Well, I know that you've come and graciously helped us in our time of need, and I very much have appreciated that. And I wanted to say my very, very most sincere thank you for that.
But of course, we must look out for one another.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I did have some questions about why you found Tampa to be so amusing that you would stick around.
It's not Tampa itself that is particularly amusing to me. It's what you're doing and the potential I see, not just in yourself, not just within the sept that you've formed, but within the city. Florida has long been an area abandoned by the Guru, by the nation, and it has become a cesspool of activities of the worm. But there's a lot of good that can still be done here, and I do believe there is potential for it to be redeemed. The nation just needed someone of interest to take the initiative to see it done. Many are afraid of ghost stories of history, but those who are bold, those who are brave, and those who are of proper ability could see it returned to the nation once more. When you came to me discussing your intentions, I saw a fire in you that I haven't seen in many others within the nation. In fact, I would dare say, outside of our particular family, that fire seems to have gone out amongst many others. They are comfortable in their particular territories. They are becoming complacent. And if the nation is to remain strong, we cannot have that. We must always be ambitious, driven. Order must be restored.
I agree. So why are you here yourself? Why not send one of your wonderful mentees, other than myself, of course, I know I'm your favorite, to do the dirty work for you?
Miss Weiss, have you ever heard the story of the Silver Crown?
I don't believe I have. I'm sure you're going to tell me, and you're much better at telling stories, so I'd like to hear it from your mouth.
It's a legend, long past. Many call it a myth. Ancient lore of the Silver Fangs, if you will. It was believed that the falcon had graced the Silver Fangs with a gift, a crown, one that is said to lead all Guru, one that is said to be the epitome of the nation, one that would command the obedience of all Silver Fangs. It is believed that an ancestor of mine once sought this silver crown. But he was not alone. Another member of our tribe also sought the crown. And they sought it with such vigor that they would take assistance wherever it could be granted, reaching out even to those known as the Black Spiral Dancers for aid. Do you know of the dancers, Miss Weiss?
I've heard stories, yes.
Then you know what they are, and that they can never be trusted, never be counted on. That their goals are in league with the worm, not against it, not opposed. They are servitors of the worm. Well, this particular individual, whose name I dare not mention because of the disgrace they put upon our tribe, they rivaled my ancestor in an attempt to seek this crown, to the point that they came to blows, threatening the pack of my ancestor, and only willing to spare them if my dear, dear predecessor would allow his fur to be skinned. Being the benevolent and honest Guru that he was, he would rather sacrifice himself than see his pack fall. So he allowed such an act to take place. He allowed his fur to be skinned from his very body in order to spare his pack. Now, normally this would kill a Guru, unquestionably, but because of the strength, the unnatural strength in his body, his very fortitude, he was able to survive. Now, of course, the dancers, in association, betrayed his opposition, demanding the crown for themselves. A fight took place, and it was my ancestor who took up the crown once more, who managed to recover just enough to take the crown and put it upon his very head, immediately demanding the respect of all Silver Fangs. But with that power, he could have done terrible things. But instead, he thought of his pack. He thought of the threat that the dancers posed. He demanded that the dancers go back to their hive and destroy whatever they found there. He had his adversary cowed, but he showed mercy. And when asked, or when given the opportunity to speak to the Falcon once again, asking why, believing that he was not fit to wear the crown, the Falcon told him that he was, and that his actions had proven so. Because he was merciful, because he saw the threat for what it is, and rather than command it, rather than set it out against rivals and adversaries, he chose security and safety. He showed himself to be a great leader, what the Falcon asks of us all. He cared about the others, those not even of his tribe, more than he cared about the power that he could wield. And so he kept the crown. But he was able to wear it, not demanding control, not using supernatural powers or gifts to enact his will, but just simply his own purpose, his own ability to lead, and his own heart. Miss Weiss, I tell you this story because the nation is fractured. It is breaking. All across this country, all across the world, Garou are vested in their own interests, in their own territories, not in the sake of Gaia, not in the overall fight or the overall mission, but their own selfish ambitions. I do not believe that we will win this fight, that we will prevent this apocalypse if it continues to be this way. I believe we as a nation must be unified once more, and the Silver Fangs, as is their birthright, must lead. You have established something with potential here, Miss Weiss, and I believe that you and your sept could help herald a new nation, could help repair the cracks and the splinters of the nation as it currently stands, to be something better, to be something grander. So consider this an investment in you and an investment in our nation. I don't plan to stay for long. In fact, I was preparing to depart after this conversation. But for our nation to be unified, we must support one another. So, as an advisor, as a assistant, I would have Charles stay in my stead while I return home and continue to solidify, continue to act as an ambassador, an emissary of sorts, to unite all of the septs under the same banner once more. But I believe it starts here, and I believe it starts with you.
Well, I appreciate your confidence in me. You do understand what we're up against.
I do. But I also understand what they are up against. They are up against new, young, and powerful Garou that haven't fallen to selfish whims and desires, that truly believe in the fight for Gaia, that have not been jaded by politics or persuaded to one side or another, that aren't after their own selfish means. You're doing what you're doing not to gain anything, but because it's right, because it's what needs to be done. And when you succeed, not if, because I know you, I've known you since your change. When you succeed, many, many pieces of this tower of dominoes will start to fall. Many businesses and enterprises that have been backed by leeches for who knows how long will start to collapse. And the very infrastructure that has held this city for at least a decade, if not longer, will start to fall. And I believe, with my knowledge and my resources and my hope to see you succeed, I can prevent that from happening. You need sponsorship. While you lead, and I would never see to take that away from you, it's important to have the right guidance, the right alliances, and to not have to burden yourself with things as trivial as government agencies and Fortune 500 companies. And I can assist you with that. Because if it benefits you, it benefits us all.
I appreciate that. More than you know. Maybe a bit of wisdom for me before you leave. You explained that story and how they didn't use the spirals against their enemies. We have a potential enemy of our own that we've discussed using against the leeches. Do you think that would be advantageous?
I think it could be. Why sacrifice your own when you could sacrifice those who are set against you? But I am always wary of an asset biting the hand that feeds it. It is unquestionable that if you resort to outside alliances, you resort to unusual circumstances, they will have a blowback on you. Because if they're willing to turn their allegiances so easily, what's to say they can't be turned again? And any information they gain, any advantage they have, could be exploited.
I do think they're here for the long haul, though. So eventually, confrontation will happen.
And let the confrontation be on your terms. You are the crown, Miss Weiss. Trust your instincts. Trust what Gaia has given you. Trust the wisdom of the Falcon. If your path is forward, do not let it be deterred. Follow the flight. And don't waver from it. And it will lead you where you are going.
Understood.
I'm very proud of you. This happened a lot sooner than I expected it to.
You're telling me.
I know you will succeed. And it could have costs. Costs dear to you, more than those you've already suffered. Keep your path steady. Keep your eyes on the proverbial prize. And stay strong, and none will question you.
Thank you.
Charles, he looks over and the platinum blonde man steps forward. Yes, Uncle. I wish you to remain in Tampa, to be there for Miss Weiss and anything she needs, and to deter any problematic elements that may get in her path. He nods his head and steps back. We can be one nation once more, and never again, when you reach out for aid, will you be ignored. Will you be declined? This could be the new capital of the new nation. And others will take your example and remember exactly what it is we're fighting against and what it is we're fighting for. And they won't wait for the fight to come to them.
I'll make sure to make you proud and make our tribe proud.
I know you will. And I'll be in touch. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. There's a bit of business still out in Idaho that needs cleaning up. And there are some neighboring septs that need to be reminded what our purpose is. So I may be a little busy, but I'm only a phone call away.
Absolutely.
And I suppose I should start packing. Please,
Well,
stay and enjoy the room as much as you'd like.
should probably show Charles around if he's going to be sticking around.
Ambitious as always. Right on target. Very well. Charles, Uncle. And with that, Mathias rises and makes his way off to a double-doored bedroom where he opens the doors, and as he walks in, you can see a suitcase is already open, most of the belongings already packed away. Charles turns and looks at you, the same piercing, ice-cold eyes. Miss Weiss, I'm at your disposal.
She'll reach her hand out for a handshake.
He reaches out and takes it in a very stiff and almost rigid manner, but very formal and not purposefully uncomfortable. Just it seems in the way he moves, it's not fluid. It's very almost operational.
She'll lean into him for a second. You can relax. You're not under anybody's thumb anymore. Let's go have some fun.
As you say, Miss Weiss. And you and Charles make your way out of the room, down to the lobby, and back out to Regina. And as the Jeep pulls up, Charles gives a very judgmental and discerning look at the vehicle itself, but then quickly dismisses the look as he reconnects eyes with you and climbs in almost obediently into the Jeep, driving off into the day. The next day, we find ourselves at the cairn. The pack called to assemble once more to catch up on the news of the last few weeks, to check in. Aspen, do you bring Charles with you to this particular meeting, or do you let him go about finding accommodations?
I would probably bring him since he's going to be around, probably introduce them to everyone just so they know, and they know if he is around that he's not unfriendly.
Okay. So as you all arrive at the cairn of the Sept, you see Aspen, Artie, Aiden, Jester, Lucas, and one more man who seems like sticks out like a sore thumb in this particular crowd. While even in a cemetery, is dressed in a very pristine, sharp suit and almost shiny loafers, but he stands with a rigid posture off to the side, not avoiding anyone's glance, not meaning to be rude, but there's a formal coldness to him. But the scene is yours.
Aspen will sit down and look at everybody. How is everyone?
Doing
Quiet, I
alright.
think.
Whose shoes?
I was about to ask the same question, Artie asks. Or says.
Looks like an accountant.
You're
This
in
is
the wrong spot then.
Charles. He'll be around for things that we need as we're trying to accomplish our goals. Charles, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello. My name is Charles Albrecht of the Full Moon of the Silver Fangs.
It's a pleasure,
Yeah?
Charles.
He
Cool.
dips his head with a tight-lipped smile, still maintaining composure and formality.
Fair warning, Aiden's gonna want to fight you.
Oh, it will happen.
Very well.
Well, as I said, he'll be around to help us and make sure everything is on the up and up, especially, I believe, on the business side of things. If we run into anything like that, he'll be around. So be nice.
We're always nice.
Makes extra eyes at Aiden.
Who's not looking at you while you say that?
Be like nuns, like really nice Catholic school nuns. Yeah.
Sure. But anyways, that's first order of business, I guess.
Artie sits in his chair, occasionally looking over towards Charles, then back at Aspen, and kind of giving a really look.
She just smiles back at Artie, looks over to Charles. Charles, you're allowed to sit.
I'm quite fine where I am, if that's all right with you, Miss Weiss.
Sure, whatever you're comfortable with.
He nods his head and remains standing.
But business as usual, right? Did we figure out what we needed to figure out as far as last meeting went? Aiden, did you talk to Terrence?
Yeah, Terrence is doing well. He's learning some new theurge things. But as far as with Kyle, Kyle hasn't reached out to him at all. Kyle, from what he said, was always kind of on edge, always like ready for a fight, but was always really nice to Terrence. Kyle had a couple friends that he kept like suggesting for Terrence to go meet with, but Terrence never actually did. But Kyle would disappear from time to time with these people. But from what Terrence gathered, they didn't actually go to school with him. Because he didn't see him in any classes or anything like that. But that's pretty much all I was able to really get from him.
Sounds like probably the other ones that you had picked up on.
Yeah. From what he said, that they're just some other people. I don't know if you want me to follow up and keep an eye on the actual cult itself, which I know where they're at, so I can add that into my overall routes if you need me to.
I think that would be a good idea, just to check on it, just to see if any new developments have happened or if they seem to be moving at a quicker pace or anything like that. anything you can find out about their goals. Don't engage, obviously. We don't need that at the moment.
I'll see if Eliza can help. Just because Joseph's the one who kind of noticed the Karen that was actually there, that little one. I can't see the way they do, so I'll keep her safe, but just be at a distance so she can help me see what I can't.
I would say bring Lucas with you. Have him come with you, just as a little extra help. If you are going to bring Eliza, having somebody to specifically keep eyes on her while other things are happening.
Well, I know he can jump high, so if we need someone to grab stuff, he can be good at that.
All shelves handled.
Good, good.
Also, leeches can explode that we discovered.
Yes, they can.
I need to hear this story.
Found broken fence, grabbed piece of said fence, threw it at leech, didn't kill it initially. Lucas got on top of leech with stake, replunged stake into chest, leech explode. Like ash just everywhere.
It was super gross.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
One moment. Let's rewind.
Okay.
Let's go back a little bit.
Did I skip a part?
Leech. How did you end up encountering a leech?
We hunted one down and tried to take it alive, but apparently they explode. So
Under whose purview?
we are hunting leeches. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?
We're trying to go on the offense when it comes to leeches after getting information, and specifically towards Bloody Mary. So who brought this information to me before this happened? Who was the one that was supposed to let me know what was happening as far as this goes?
I thought you'd be happy about. We wanted to take it alive. If we took it alive, we could have done more questioning to it.
That was the intention.
But they poofed.
Aiden, let me put it in perspective for you.
Sure.
You think that you and Lucas, new to our pack, no offense, Lucas, you two together going off, potentially putting yourself in danger without letting your pack leader know, I would be happy about?
Well, obviously we showed up empty-handed, but we did come up with new information that a piece of wood in the chest causes them to die.
Well, from what I'm learning from this information is that you're easily swayed, Aiden. So I'll have Jester and Lucas look into the cult.
Okay.
Jester, did you happen to have any conversations with Eliza?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to talk to her about it. Lucas and I went to her house to train, and we ended up training longer than able to have a conversation. But I am catching up with her this next week.
Okay, so the spirit side of things is still kind of up in the air as far as that goes. Okay, we've got time. More conversations need to be had. Absolutely. Artie, anything you want to report to the pack?
Yeah, I've been keeping track of the facial recognition, trying to keep an eye on cameras. Mary has not stuck her head up in a while. Nothing is pinged this week. Jester and I did some looking to see if we could figure out what had happened to her other friend, Mia, and it appears that she was taken to 100 North Tampa shortly after the confession and has disappeared since. Any records of her have all but vanished. All that's traces left is just the news articles that are still out there, and even some of those have disappeared. So whoever it is, they are getting her gone as quickly as possible, which could mean a few things, but none of them good. As far as looking into history, I started going back over records and records and records and trying to discern any information of the past, and one thing caught my eye. This Mary has been around easily since the 1800s. I was able to find some drawings and some early photographs, and it's hard to say for certain. You know, the quality of images wasn't as good back then, but there are some matching individuals, especially at some of the buildings of some of the more older structures in the area, when they were built and when there were grand unveilings of some of the government buildings. I was able to pick her out in the crowd, or at least someone who looks a lot like her. I have even been able to work a little bit of magic, trying to use certain keywords, certain phrases. Right now, I'm looking at a registry of immigrants from even further back than that, and I think that I may be onto something, but it's too hard to tell without cross-referencing a few things. She's old. That's for sure. That's what I've been able to determine, and from what I can guess, the older ones tend to be more powerful, which puts credence to a lot of the stories we've heard about her. Right now, I'm working with Regina to get friendly with some of the Weaver spirits, letting her do most of the talking, because talking to spirits isn't my forte outside of her, but we're making some connections. I'm taking a few trips downtown with her and trying to put her in touch with some people, but yeah, that's about all I've got right now.
Okay. Well, that's a start, and we'll keep looking into that. Lucas, is there anything you want to bring to the table?
Well, I tried to, but I don't feel like I want to get anybody else in trouble. So
If you have pertinent information that needs to be said, please say it.
there's an active challenge on the table. What Aiden did was not outside the boundaries or terms and conditions of the challenge. By law, he did nothing wrong.
And what are the parameters of this challenge?
Bring a leech in alive.
What do you wish to do with it when you bring it in alive? Where do you plan to hold it?
With a stake in its chest, you can hold it in a garage if you want to.
Already
But we
picks
need
up.
information.
Anybody got a trunk? We've seen that work.
You do.
I didn't.
I'm not sure Regina would want to hold a leech.
Probably not.
Didn't Ryder keep one in some place for months on end?
And
Yeah.
it's gone now. Yes.
Along with that trunk.
You had one, and now you don't have one. What's that about?
We got rid of it during a time where we were trying to build a cairn and get all of that situated. We didn't have time to deal with the leeches. We were focusing on something that we needed to do before we could move into those spaces. So that's what we decided to do, to get rid of it.
Okay. Okay. But Artie's really good at getting information. I give him that. Some things we're going to have to get directly from them. We're going to have to.
I'm not arguing that, Lucas. I'm arguing the point that you need to let me know what's happening with my pack before you go off and put yourself in danger. Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. So what do you want me to do?
Is this something you're wanting to engage in, is finding a leech and bringing it back alive? Because up until this point, I was none the wiser.
It'd be unfair if you told me to do it without Aiden also be part of it. The challenge is still on the table.
You want the job or not?
As long as Aiden comes.
Aiden won't be going.
That's complicated. Can't disrespect the challenge.
Well, then neither of you will be bringing back a leech alive then.
Then I guess we're just gonna let them roll right over us, huh?
You can go with Jester, and you can figure out the cult situation, and we'll go from there. I'll have Artie look into some more information, get more information about Bloody Mary and what have you. Eventually, we will move in and we will figure out where she feeds, what she does, how she acts, and we will move into that space when I say we're ready to move into that space. Do you understand, Lucas?
Sure.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same page. Does anyone else have news?
Almost at a convenient and inappropriate moment, Aiden's phone starts vibrating. As you
Can I
pick it
take
up
this?
and look at the number, it's a 727 number, but it is completely unfamiliar.
Can I take
Answer it.
this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he'll answer.
A voice immediately comes blaring out of the phone. Hey, Clifford! Got some news for you. Thought you might be interested. Not sure if you're still scrambling together those resources I asked about. Found out about a little transaction that's happening in the area. Apparently, there is a plasma bank that is changing hands in ownership. Apparently, some muckety muck's gonna be there. Could give you the location if you got the money.
Yeah, I'm interested. Just a second. He'll kind of push the hold button. That's our mutual friend that we met. Who likes to drink out of that can.
Good. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Aiden and I went out, just so you all are on the up and up. Aiden and I went out to look at the building, the Bateman and Co. And we came across his little magician friend, who's actually not a magician, instead is a leech adjacent, and talked to him, and he may have information for us.
Yeah, there's a plasma bank that is possibly switching hands, and from what it sounds like, one of those a leech could possibly be there. He'd give us the location if we have the money.
What is leech adjacent?
It's hard to say. He had a sense of leech, but not a strong sense of it. So leech adjacent.
Do you think we can trust him?
No, not at all. But at this point, he has pertinent information that we could use and that we all need to move forward on these leeches.
If we can't trust him, how do we know this is not a trap?
I think we can trust him enough to know that he's not going to screw us yet, because he has his own interests that he's moving towards. Right now, our arrangement is mutually beneficial. When it changes, I'll definitely let you all know. But right now, we're in a symbiotic relationship of sorts.
Hello?
This sounds like
Aiden? Hello?
I need an ant, dude. Yes or no?
Yes, tell him yes.
Okay. He'll take up. Yeah, we're good to go.
Awesome. I will text you the address, and we'll meet there next week.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yep, you take care.
Phone hangs up.
He'll send me a text sometime, and we'll do it next week.
Perfect. Jester, also, I've told him if he needs to leave notes or anything, he could leave them on the pavilion by the kayaks at Lettuce Lake. So if you keep an eye over there and let me know if you see anything.
Sure. I'll mouth to Aiden, "You're getting grounded this time."
I'm always on the ground. What?
Okay, so we've got that going next week. Jester, if you could talk to Eliza when you're going to look into the cult. Aiden, you're with me. You're coming with me to deal with Spud.
Jester, I'll show you on your phone where the park or their trailer thing is.
Thanks.
At this point, Charles clears his throat a little bit. What should I do, Miss Weiss?
What would you like to do, Charles? I'm not sure of all of your gifts.
I make your problems no longer problems. And he looks for a moment to Lucas and Aiden and then back at Aspen.
They're not my problems. They're just my annoyances. I wouldn't worry about them. But if you would, maybe accompany us when we go talk to this Spud fellow, just to make sure I'm properly protected.
The fuck's that supposed to mean?
Of course.
Thank you.
Suspicion grows. It never truly settles. Because even with all the trust in the world established, a part of you is always going to have a little bit of doubt, a little bit of wonder, a little bit of curiosity. As our story comes to a close tonight, we find ourselves once again in a very, very tall tower, a very large building, some would say the largest in the entire area. Instead of a posh boardroom or an office, instead we find ourselves outside of double doors that look like they have seen better days. The wood is cracked and splintered in certain areas, and around the handles of the door, a large chain padlocks the doors closed. Out front of the doors stands Edward Bateman and the strange, disfigured, gnarled Masterson. Masterson looks to Bateman. He's running out of time. Bateman looks over. The delivery is on the way. And once it is completed, our problems will be no more, and we can progress forward. You just have to be patient, Masterson. Patience is my strong suit. However, I do have something that might interest you. He passes over a sheet of paper. Bateman looks at it, then nods his head and passes it back. And what about the other one, your pet project? How's that coming along? They're not ready yet, but they will be. And that is where our story comes to a close. Thank you so much to these amazing players. Thank you so much to everybody watching at home. Keep following St. Pete by Night. You can find us on all the social media listed down below, as well as all the links in the description. If you're interested in the World of Darkness, specifically 5th edition, come and join us on our Discord server. Just follow that link down below and you will be in, and you can become a part of this amazing community. We have one-shots becoming more and more constant. We have tables that'll be opening up in the next several months. There are lots of opportunities to join us. This week we have a ton of programming. We've got on Thursday, Don't Get Caught, our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle. On Friday, we have What the Hell Is That with their season finale before they go on a break for a little bit. So if you've been keeping up with that Hunter Chronicle, you're going to want to tune into that episode. On Saturday, we have a very, very special guest, a storyteller who has experienced in over 300 chronicles. Now, they're a 20th anniversary storyteller, so we're going to see what they prefer about 20th anniversary over 5th edition, but it's going to be a very, very interesting conversation. Then on Sunday, we've got Bloody Strings, starring our beloved Noree, and then back here on Tuesday of next week, we'll be back with Rage Across Tampa. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and check out all that incredible other content. Go follow these incredible players, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Rage Across Tampa is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The storyteller for Rage Across Tampa is Kent. Tonight's characters were voiced by Preston, Champ, Noree, and Weiss. Visit our website at stpetebynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.